طيب. Pass me a glass, please. Or a teacup.
Sure.
So, we need the address here from
Sorry.
overseas.
Okay.
Just put that.
I'm
And
gonna send that to you. Send it to you right now.
Okay.
I'll clean it up.
Don't rush. So long.
So this is the main street or
Number.
No,
No, that's the neighborhood.
Okay. So that's like the town. Or
Yeah, yeah. Like
what's
you know,
What's Mecca?
that's the city. That's the city.
So it should be.
No, just like that. Put it just like that. That's how they use it. That's how I was given. If you want to reword it, no problem.
No, because I wanna. So you see how this is in America. At least you.
Right.
Right.
All right.
So
Reformat it.
that's what.
Clear. فهمت. The brackets. طيب. ماشي.
I will start with the house.
You almost said. Could have took it. This was a guy from the Guyana trip.
So, not right.
طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه. أما بعد. Tonight's lesson we discuss wajibat al-Umrah, the obligatory acts of Umrah. The obligatory acts of the Umrah. We spoke on the arkan of Hajj, and we also spoke on the wajibat of Hajj, the essential pillars of Hajj, and we spoke on the mandatory acts of Hajj. And we also spoke on the meaning and the proper understanding of those two terms, a rukn and a wajib. Arkan and wajibat, we explained that in detail. And when we spoke on each rukn, each essential pillar, we also spoke on the different recommended acts of those pillars. That which you must do and the recommended acts of Tawaf. The recommended acts of Sa'i, so on and so forth. Now, we explained that in detail. The author, he now says on page 75, واجبات العمرة واجباتها شيئان الإحرام بها من الحل لأهل مكة ومن الميقات لغيرهم. ثانيا الحلق أو التقصير. تنبيه: من ترك ركنا لا يتم نسكه إلا به، ومن ترك واجبا جبره بدم، ومن ترك سنة فلا شيء عليه. The author rahimahullah ta'ala says, واجباتها شيئان. The mandatory acts of Umrah are no more than two. No more than two things that you must do in Umrah when performing Umrah. Number one, he says, Al-Ihramu min al-Hil. As far as Meccans, people that live in Mecca, they must make the Ihram, the intention to enter into the inviolable state for Umrah, not Hajj, outside of the sacred zone. Outside of the sacred zone. Hajj is one thing, Umrah is different. Hajj is one thing, Umrah is a different thing. You understand this? He says for Umrah, someone who's in Mecca must go outside of the sacred area. He must go towards that which is called the Hil. It's well known today. They say Taneem, Masjid Aisha, well known. He has to go to that place to get into Ihram, the Niyat al-Dukhul. And the mandatory things that now come into existence when you get into the state of Ihram, such as libas, the fingernails, the hair, the perfume, etc. Now, he says that's the first wajib. As far as people who are not Meccans, those who do not live in Mecca, then they make the Ihram at the miqat, wherever the miqat is. People of Yemen, people of Sham, وهكذا. Now, as is well known. As the authors want to explain as well, the miqats. Everybody clear on this? That's the first wajib of Umrah, is to perform the Ihram in the proper place. Whether it's outside of the Haram area for the Meccans, or the normal zones for anyone else that isn't a Meccan. The second mandatory act of Umrah is either to shave your head or to trim your head. To shave it or to trim. Everybody clear on this? To shave it or to trim. Khairan inshallah. He then says, tanbihun. He makes a note. He makes a note. Tanbih, giving you a note. Pay attention, he says. The first one is, anyone who leaves off a rukn, a pillar, an essential pillar, then his nusuk is incomplete. Whatever the word nusuk is, Hajj, Umrah, Qiran, Ifrad, Tamattu. Everybody understand this? If you leave off an essential pillar, there's no nusuk. So an essential pillar, an example of someone leaving off an essential pillar in Hajj would be what? Quickly. Al-Wuquf bi Arafah. You didn't go to Arafah. You didn't sit, stand, you didn't wait at Arafah. Hover above Arafah, however you want to word it. Naam. Person didn't go to Arafah. I forgot, I couldn't, whatever is what? Incomplete. Everyone understand this? Is what? Incomplete. He then says, وَمَنْ تَرَكَ وَاجِبًا جَبْرَهُ بِدَمٍ. And he who leaves off an obligatory act, he fixes it with a sacrifice. A sacrificial animal. Does that mean that you can intentionally leave off the wajib? Or if you leave it off out of forgetfulness or something like this? Necessity. Al-Muhim, if the wajib is left off, you fix it with what? Dam, blood. Sacrificial animal. He says, and anyone who leaves off a recommended act of Hajj Umrah, فَلَا شَيْءَ عَلَيْهِ. No sin upon him, no expiation, you don't have to go back, you don't have to say it again. Very beneficial summary for these three issues. For the layman Muslim, extremely beneficial. For the student of knowledge and for the mufti, the imam, the sheikh, the alim. Very beneficial qawaid. You leave off a pillar, no nusuk. Leave off a wajib, fix it with sacrifice. Leave off a recommended act, nothing is upon you. Everybody understand this? Khairan inshallah. The author then says, محظورات الإحرام. المحظورات هي الأعمال الممنوعة التي لو فعل الحاج والمعتمر وجب عليه فيها فدية أو صيام أو إطعام فيحرم على المحرم ذكرا كان أو أنثى ما يأتي. أولا حلق الشعر من جميع بدنه. ثانيا تقليم الأظفار. ثالثا تغطية الرأس وتغطية الوجه من الأنثى إلا إذا مر بها رجال أجانب. رابعا لبس الذكر للمخيط وهو ما يخاط على حجم العضو كالثوب والسروال ونحوهما. خامسا الطيب. سادسا قطر الصيد البري المأكول. سابعا عقد النكاح. ثامنا الجماع، فإن كان قبل تحلل الأول فسد نسكهما، ويجب في ذلك بدنة ويمضيان فيه ويقضيان ثاني عام. وإن كان بعد تحلل الأول فلا يفسد به النسك، لكن يجب في ذلك شاة. تاسعا مباشرة الرجل المرأة فيما دون الفرج، فإن أنزل فعليه بدنة وإن لم ينزل فعليه شاة، ولا يفسد حجه في كلا الحالين. والمرأة كرجل فيما سبق من المحظورات إلا في لبس المخيط، فتلبس ما شاءت غير متبرجة، وتغطي رأسها وتكشف وجهها، ولا تغطي إلا عند وجود رجال أجانب منها. التحلل الأول في الحج يحصل بفعل اثنين من ثلاثة. The author he then says, speaking on that which is known as محظورات الإحرام. محظورات الإحرام. Says here, page 108, topic 4, acts forbidden for one in the inviolable state. Acts that are forbidden for one who's in the inviolable state, meaning ihram. Once you're in the state of ihram, things now become haram. Once you go into the state of ihram for hajj and umrah, certain acts are now unlawful for you to perform. And if you perform them, there's something that you have to do. Everybody understand this? That which is called mahdhurat al-ihram. Something which is mahdhur, meaning you have to avoid. You must avoid. You have to stay away from. He says, the forbidden acts are deeds that if the person making hajj or umrah does any of them, it is obligatory upon him to make a sacrifice. Listen once more. The forbidden acts are deeds that if the person making hajj or umrah does any of them, it is obligatory upon him to make a sacrifice. Comma, fast or feed others. Make a sacrifice, an animal, fast or feed poor people. He says the following are forbidden for the male or the female in the inviolable state. Man and woman are both commanded to avoid these things when they're in the state of ihram. Number 1, cutting one's hair on any part of the body. Cutting one's hair on any part of the body. Your arm, your leg, your face, your chin, your mustache, your eyebrows, your eyelashes, your behind, wherever you remove the hair from on your body. That is unlawful and prohibited in the state of ihram. Number 2, trimming the finger or toenails, with exceptions to a snag nail. As the people of knowledge say, with exceptions to a snag nail. Number 3, covering the head, between brackets, for men, and covering the face for women, unless men who are not related to them should be passing by. You're not allowed to cover your head, meaning having something attached or on top of your head. As far as an umbrella, that's fine. As far as a bus with a top on it, that's fine. As far as a tent, that's fine. But a topi, they call it, tapi, kufi, taqiya, qulunsua, imama, ghutra, shimag, whatever you call it, that's put on your head, a hat, fitted beanie, skull cap, scully, whatever, a bandana, right? Do-rag, and the list goes on. This is a reality of people's what? Pantyhose, your head covering. No, some people still out with him. At the end of the day, anything that's what, Saleh? On the head. No matter your culture, your language, your style. Everybody clear on this? They're different what? Different cultures that people have. And they put things on top of their what? Heads. Everybody clear on this? A man is not allowed to cover his head. It then says, and covering the face for women. A woman on hajj or umrah, the author says, is not allowed to cover her face. He says, she isn't allowed to cover her face unless men who are not related to them should be passing by. And a man who isn't a mahram, he says that if a mahram or non-mahram passes by, she's allowed to do what? Cover her face. He didn't say anything about the niqab, but he said the face, covering the face. A veil that's worn on a visor. Some women have the visor. Or let's say, for example, You have the different, they have the visors that are green, you know? People play cards. You know what I'm talking about? No, not golf. Poker, I said cards, not golf, huh? And they have the visors. This is maybe back in the day. Maybe too old for some of you guys. Nah, some women, they'll have that and they'll put the screen on top of that. So the face veil does what? Hangs over the, like somebody that's going to a beehive, for example, mathalan. Everybody understand this? Whereas the face veil is not what? No. Let alone the actual niqab, across. Everybody clear on this? But the author, he doesn't mention these details. He says covering the face. Unless someone who's ajnabi passes by. Number 4, it says here, wearing sewn clothing by men, such as a long shirt or pants. That's not the most accurate translation, as we have explained before. And as the author himself is going to explain, wearing something that is sewn is not unlawful in Hajj or Umrah. That is an invalid and incorrect translation. And that's also incorrect understanding of makhit, as we have what? Previously explained. Number 5, using perfume. Using what? Perfume. Now let's ask ourselves a question. When you wear, walaikum salam to Allah, you wear sandals. Are the sandals sewn or stitched? So that can't be what? A correct meaning. Everybody understand this? Or you wear, let's say, a satchel, a messenger bag, a nap, whatever they call it, camping type thingy. Everybody understand this? Does that not have stitching in it? Yes, it does. And the ulama of the past and the present, they spoke about the permissibility of wearing these things. Everybody clear on this? So what's meant is not sewn. That's incorrect. Moving forward, using perfume. He says things you're not allowed to do in Ihram is to wear or to use perfume. From the modern day things that apply to this is deodorant, petroleum jelly, lotion, bug spray, insect repellent, anything that has what? Not just a smell. It didn't say that. Perfume. A scent doesn't have to necessarily be pleasant. But something that's what? A pleasant aroma. Tayyib. Tayyib. Something that smells what? Tayyib. Everybody understand this? Labas. Everybody clear on this? Now, the concept of these different things which are scented, some people may argue with some of them, such as hand soap. You'll find some who say you can't wash your hands with soap in Ihram because that's tayyib on it. Let me ask the question, is that actual tayyib in the soap? And is it something that's maqsood? Is that the intention of the soap? Or is the intention to clean your hands and remove a bad smell from your hands? Somebody may say it is tayyib, it is perfume, scented. They say what? This is what? Cucumber and pears. Exactly. The soaps are very exotic. Mango, ginger, avocado. You find some of the weirdest combinations in soaps and shampoos. No doubt. Eucalyptus, Japanese cherry blossom. Whether it's organic or it's reality, akhi. He's not making this stuff up. And the more fancy and exotic the combination of fruits and vegetables are, oh man, that look nice. Brown sugar scrub, mango peelings. I'm going to use that on my skin. Everybody understand this? So, that is something which is clearly and intended to have what? Tayyib. And then the other types of soap, and which is not meant to be a gourmet type of soap or a fancy type of smelling soap, but that's just the concept of the soap and the cleansing. Everybody understand this? So that's an issue that can be discussed. But with regards to lotions, for example, scentless deodorant, things like this as well. Khairan inshallah. He then says, killing land game that is normally permissible to eat. You're not allowed to hunt an animal on land, an animal that would normally be consumed, be eaten. Everybody clear on this? It does not mean that you cannot fish. You can fish. But a land animal, a rabbit, a deer, gazelle, elk, moose, buffalo, Huh? Something that you hunt, not slaughter. Pay attention. He does not say what? Slaughter. Hunting. Everybody understand this? A land animal that would normally be eaten is unlawful. That doesn't mean that you can't necessarily, something that's not ma'kul. He said ma'kul. Tight. Moving forward. Number 7, getting married. One is not allowed to do what? Make aqdun nikah. You're not allowed to sign a contract. You're not allowed to accept a proposal when in the state of what? Ihram. So the sister, she sees you, so mashallah, brother, nice. What the ihram on? The ihram. Tayyib, I want to marry him. Tayyib, the wali says, Akhi, my daughter wants to marry you. What's up? You can have her right now. Tayyib, do you accept? Do you agree? You have to tell him what?
Break out of Ihram, then accept.
Break out of ihram, huh? La ilaha illallah. You say, I'll see you after what? Ayyam tashriq. After the days of tashriq, inshallah, Sheikh. That's if you want to marry the sister. Tayyib. So you cannot, you can't get married at all. You cannot make the contract. You cannot accept the contract, as we explained in our lessons on Bulugh al-Maram. Naam. Tayyib. Moving forward. Number 8, having sexual intercourse. He says, having sex instead of ihram is something which is mahdhur. Listen carefully to the details now. He says, if this was done, or if this were done before the first lessening of restrictions, we have that which is called at-tahallul al-awwal and at-tahallul al-thani. At-tahallul al-awwal basically means you're pretty much almost done your hajj. Certain things are now lawful for you. Tahallala. Someone became halal. He was in the ihram state. He did 2 out of 3 things. He's one final step from what? Becoming totally what? Out of ihram. Everybody understand this? So the first tahallul is one level. And the second is what? Another. Everybody understand this? And the severity of the sexual intercourse depends on which level you have passed through. Everybody understand this? You can't really get this 100% unless you've made hajj. Once you've done certain things on a specific day, now you've done the what? At-tahallul al-awwal, not the hajj of the wudu. You haven't made hajj yet? Don't speak. It's reality. If you haven't made hajj yet, what? Zip. That's right. Ziplock. Slider. If you haven't made hajj, then this is what? Sheikh Mahdi say what? It's a different ball game. If you haven't made hajj or umrah yet, Abdul, you made umrah? You never made umrah? You can't even talk about this right here. You can listen and benefit, but you can't what? Nah. Not about this. Barakallahu fikum. Right, moving forward. When you make, or let's say on the what day, Abu Bakr? Yeah. When is the earliest you can make tahallul awal? And what do you do on the 10th day? We explained this the other night. And what? Ra Nahat. That's right. First letter is what? Ra. R. Which is what? Rami. Then it's Noon. Nahar. Sacrifice. Then it's Halq. Then it's Tawaf. That's the whole faida of the acronym. For you to what? Easily remember it. Tayyib. May Allah forgive you. Ameen. So with that being said, when you do certain acts on this day, after you do a certain amount of those acts, what happens now?
So everything that was haram for you in ihram becomes halal except for nisa. Meaning you can put on normal clothes, you can wash up with soap and shampoo that has a scent, you can cover your head, but you still cannot have intercourse yet. Naam, that's called a tahallul al-awwal. So if a person has sexual intercourse before this, then that's a scenario. If they have sexual intercourse after that, then that's a what? A different scenario. Everybody understand this? The author says, and it says here in the translation, having sexual intercourse. If this were done before the first lessening of the restrictions, the tahallul al-awwal, that's how we word it in translation, all the rites then become void. Your entire hajj is what? Down the drain. Arafah, Muzdalifah, Tawaf, this, whatever you did before that is what? Null and void. Then he says, they must then sacrifice a camel. You have to sacrifice a what? A camel. Camel is a very expensive animal. You have to pay that money for it to be sacrificed. That's not it. It goes on even further. He says, and continue in their Hajj. You don't stop Hajj. It's no fruit of you making this Hajj. The Hajj is null and void. There's no validity. There's no reward. It's invalid. But you still have to do what? Keep doing the sacrifices of the Hajj. Last but not least, the last penalty is what? And make up the Hajj in the following year. And make up what? Ooh, right? Ouch. You have to make up the Hajj in the what? Following year. So that's a lot of time and a lot of money that you have to spend because of not having control over your sexual desires. Everybody understand this? Moving forward. If that were done after the first lessening of the restrictions, at-tahallul al-thani, they had sexual intercourse afterwards, shuf, malish. We didn't have to get that far. The first one is the tahallul al-awwal, before it. There's no second or first. Before the first one. And the second one is after the after the first one. The second one is not even relative at all. Because once that, then they're what? Everybody understand this? Everybody with me? So it's only one level, and that is before it or after it. He says here, if it were done after this, then the rites do not become void. The Hajj remains what? Valid, inshallah, but they must sacrifice a sheep. They must sacrifice a what? A sheep. Number 9, the 9th, mahdhur, unlawful thing to do while in state of ihram. He says having contact with women in a manner less than sexual intercourse. Kissing a woman, rubbing a woman, groping, fondling a woman, rubbing with a woman sitting on your lap, you touching, making out with a woman without actual what? Intercourse. He says here, if the man ejaculates, he must sacrifice a camel. He did not have vaginal intercourse with her, but he touched her and he felt on her. She kissed him. And he did ejaculate, then he must offer what? A camel. He then says, if he does not, then he must sacrifice a sheep. In either case, though, the rites of his Hajj have not been voided. It's still what? Sound. But he has to offer either camel or sheep depending on climax or not. Everybody understand this? Moving forward. The ruling for women is the same as for men concerning these issues, except that she is allowed to wear sewn clothing. She may wear whatever she wills as long as it is not a display of beauty. That's general. A woman is not supposed to wear tight clothes, short open overgarments with all types of crazy type of colors and makeup and lipstick and fancy type of khimars with your neck open and big earrings out, high heel shoes, your toes out. A woman is not supposed to dress like that before, during, or after what? Hajj, period. Just like a man is not supposed to shave his beard in or outside of the state of Ihram. Everybody understand this? Period. You're not supposed to backbite Muslims if you're fasting or not. You're not supposed to do bad things during the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah or... Everybody understand this? He says she's to wear whatever she wants to wear as long as it isn't tabarruj. Tabarruj means perfume, having all types of makeup with your face uncovered, your nails painted. Everybody understand this? High heel shoes, tight clothes, tight fitting overgarments, anything like this which is showing the beauty and the charms that a woman is supposed to keep sacred. He then says, she covers her head but uncovers her face, as we previously explained, not covering it unless there are men who are not related to her present. He then says, the first lessening of the restrictions occurs after a person has performed any of the following 3 acts. Any 2 of the following 3 acts. Number 1, Tawaf, the circumambulation. He says number 2, the throwing of the pebbles or the shaving or cutting of the hair. When do you get out of the first state of Ihram? When you do 2 things out of 3. What are the 3 options? No, not in order, just what are the 3? Stoning, Tawaf, shaving the head. So if you do all 3, then for sure you're out of you're in the first. If you do 2 out of the 3, then you're what? If you only do 1, then you're what? When are these acts done? The 10th day, which is the day of
Day of Arafah? What do the Hajis call it? It's either Arafah for you. Yawm al-Nahar. Huh? The day of sacrifice. Or also called Yawm al La. طيب, moving forward. Going back to the Arabic text. Huh? Al-Nahr, we mentioned that. It's another name. طيب, moving forward. The author, he says, التحلل الأول في الحج يحصل بفعل اثنين من ثلاثة: طواف، رمي، حلق أو تقصير. إذا حاضت المرأة المتمتعة قبل الطواف وخشيت فوات الحج أحرمت به وصارت قانرة. والحائض والنفساء تفعل المناسك كلها غير الطواف بالبيت. يجوز للمحرم ذبح بهيمة الأنعام والدجاج ونحوها، وله قتل الصائل المؤذي كالأسد والذئب والنمر والفهد والحية والعقرب والفأرة وكل مؤذٍ، كما يجوز له صيد البحر وطعامه. ويحرم على المحرم وغير المحرم قطع شجر الحرم وحشيشه إلا الإذخر، كما يحرم قتل صيد الحرم فإن فعل فعليه الفدية. ويحرم صيد حرم المدينة بقطع شجره ولا فدية فيه. The author, he then says, التحلل الأول, the first lessening of the restrictions occurs after a person has performed any of the following, two of the following three acts: the circumambulation, the throwing of the pebbles, or the shaving or cutting of the hair. If a woman gets her menses while she was intending to perform the Hajj, followed by the Umrah, with a break in between, meaning what? Tamattu. So the average woman coming from America who goes to perform Hajj is performing what? The Tamattu Hajj. All of a sudden she gets her menses. He says, what should she do? And she fears that she will miss the Hajj. It's not enough time to wait. Her menses are going to start, they're going to stop. The Hajj is going to be done, over. He says she enters into the inviolable state with her menses. She has to make Ihram in a state of what? Menstruation. It is not haram to go into Ihram in a state of what? Menstruation. It is not haram. Many people, they think this. They have a misunderstanding and it destroys their ibadah because of jahl and full cupness. No doubt. There's a difference. Ignorance is one thing. Having a full cup is different. Ignorance is saying, I don't know. I don't know. Having a full cup, yeah, you can't do that. That's haram. I thought that. Yeah, you can't get in Ihram, you're mincing. Just like Salah. Takbiratul Ihram. Literally. Takbiratul Ihram. So just like a mincing woman can't pray, a mincing woman can't get into Ihram. The cup is what? It's full. And what she's supposed to do is pour it out. And ask the mufti of the tent. Ask the person, the Hajj guide. Ask, how much money has Saudi Arabia spent for basic Hajj rulings to be known? Pamphlets, leaflets, phone calls, websites, books. But the people, many people just don't care. Or they think, oh, this is ABCs, as one brother said. What did he say in South Carolina, Sheikh? He said, I'm not going back to kindergarten. Right? He said, I'm not going back to kindergarten. Tayyib. You don't have to go back to kindergarten. If you know the information, alhamdulillah. But if you don't know the information, it's better for you to humble yourself in kindergarten than go to Jahannam. You pick which one you want to go to. Violating Allah's laws, disobeying His rules, not performing that which you're supposed to perform with the ability to perform it properly, or go to kindergarten. Everybody understand this? Man is prideful instead of being humble. Let me learn. I'm an engineer in my country. I'm a doctor. I'm a brain surgeon. Alhamdulillah. Hajj, ABCs. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like the mufti that knows the rulings of Hajj like the back of his hand, if you put him with a scalpel, what does he know how to do? Slaib. It's nothing wrong with having a field of expertise and being ignorant. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody understand this? Oftentimes people, they get kibr. And the cup becomes full. And it's also, we don't want to go too deep off the topic, but it comes from the concept of the colonial era. All right?
All right, the people, they colonized the lands of the Muslims. And they got the Muslims not to have no love and no respect for their deen and ilm, and the people who had the ilm in their deen. And everything that's secular and nominal and modern is good. And the old traditional knowledge is of no use. Everybody understand this? I can be a scholar too. I can be an alim. That's easy. That's simple. What's the big deal? It's a reality. They wouldn't allow you to say anything about their profession. They will stop you in the middle of your sentence. Well, listen, brother, it's not that simple, okay? Let me explain it to you. Say it just like that. They'll stop you. If you start making some basic things about surgery, they'll stop you, or law. Basically. They'll stop you. Just they put out their hand. No, brother, let me explain to you. But anybody can be an alim. Oh, that's easy. That's simple. Why is the brother coming here? Or some people that say, well, don't come and talk about that. We want you to talk about other things. This is a sad reality of man's ignorance. Everybody understand this? And you go on Hajj and you'll see people making these horrible statements, doing these horrible acts, spending all of that money without nothing. Haba'an manthura. Like floating particles of dust, Allah says in the Quran. For not learning the basics and not having enough humility to ask someone who's more learned than you. So therefore, he says that a woman is supposed to go into Ihram even though she's menstruating. Even though she's what? Even though she's menstruating. And she makes her rites as the Hajj combined with the Umrah. She now becomes Qarina. And she's no longer Mutamatti'ah. And what she's making the Hajj and Umrah what? Together in one Ihram. And not necessarily... the details of that we can't get into right now. Moving forward. The menstruating woman and the woman with postpartum bleeding perform all the rites of Hajj, save for the circumambulation of the house of Allah. Everything that a Haji does, a Muslim woman who's bleeding, menstruation, or postnatal bleeding, is supposed to what? Do. With exceptions to one thing only, and that's what? Tawaf. Nothing is to be avoided except for what? Tawaf. Stoning, shaving, slaughtering, sleeping here, this and that. Everything what? Except for what? Tawaf. So the question is, when does she make her tawaf?
Maybe when the menses is over, or everybody.
How many tawafs does she have to make? How many? Number, I ask you. No, how many times she make tawaf? Not circuits. How many tawafs? Just one? How many tawafs Abu Bakr and Hajj? That's the question. Is it not clear? How many? Just one tawaf? Type. 2 or 1? All right, the first one is? Let's say you're making tamattu. You're making tamattu now. You're making tamattu. How many tawafs do you make? Just one. Just 2. 3. What's the first tawaf? It's when you first arrive. And that's a part of actual? There you go. Nah, lie, sheikh. Nah. He's sleep. You can't even rely on him, huh? Allahu Akbar. You never know, never to take him to the battlefield. He's asleep. You dead. Subhanallah, huh? Pass me, he's gone. Janaza. Allah most time. Never have a weak link next to you. All right, Sheikh? The first tawaf is tawaf of what? Umrah. Whether you call it qadum, it's when you're making what? Umrah. When you first get there. Clear. The second tawaf is what? Al-Ifada. Also called the tawaf of Hajj. And that's done on what day? The 10th day. We explained so many times. The last tawaf is what? Al-Wada'. Farewell tawaf. So, let's ask the question. There's a question. We're going to stop the class with this tonight. Is tawaf al-Wada' a separate tawaf in itself? Or can it be replaced? Like Tahiyyat al-Masjid. The Prophet says, pray 2 rak'ah before you sit down. Whatever, at least 2 rak'ah. 3, 4, 5, just pray before you what? Sit down. So, as if As if, I'm asking the question, I'm not saying it, not yet. That the person, the normal Haji, a man, a woman who isn't menstruating, they've made the what? The first two? Untamattu. They made tawafs. They're done the Hajj. They sit in Mecca for a couple extra days before the bus goes to the airport. Now, so they're going to be sitting in Mecca for 2 or 3 days, a week after Hajj. So the last thing that you should do, leaving Mecca, should be al-wada', farewell. Not necessarily meaning that it's going to always has to be another tawaf. Like no, you mentioned it? One may say this. We'll stop there. You let you guys figure that out until the next class. By Allah's permission. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.